So actually, let's go ahead and get started. We are right at the 3 o'clock hour. Welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. It's great to see everyone. We really appreciate you guys all being here. Um, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started and fire it away. We have a great show for you guys today. For some folks, you might have remembered last year, you might have been with us for World Audio Day 2020. We kind of threw together World Audio Day 2020 last year. Everyone knows it was a different time, of course. And so we wanted to really put together an event that would give back to our community and really kind of help the community. So this started last year as an initiative to give back to our broadcaster community. During last year's session on this exact day, April 21st, we gathered several experts from the industry in general. We put on a show that had on various different topics on the broadcasting basis, programming operations. We did a room panel on technology. We did some on podcasting and licensing. All of those are available. Actually, if you search World Audio Day 2020 on YouTube, you can find all the recordings of those, and I encourage everyone to do that. So when we were sitting down to kind of put together this year's show, we wanted to take the feedback from our community, and what we really said is we wanted to do something special really for Live 365 and our Live 365 community, because those were our main folks and those were the folks that we really wanted to take care of, and we really wanted to give those folks and you guys what they wanted to hear and put on a good show for you guys and be able to give you some of the insight. And so that's kind of where the Live 365 Summit kind of started. For some of you folks that might know the long history of Live 365, this is not the first summit. There was actually summits in the old company's history. Since Live 365 has been taken over by new management, though, this was actually our first summit, and we hope it's the first of many, and we can do these events every year with you guys, give insights to what's happening here. We have a lot of really exciting things happening as we're constantly working to build better products for you guys in the community. So our goal with this year is kind of an event specifically for our Live 365 community of broadcasters. Some things, what we're going to do is we're going to give you the inside scoop during this event on different things that's coming up, upcoming product releases. We have some great, really cool stuff to show you guys. We have some really exciting upcoming deals and partnerships that our team's been working heavily on to help all of our broadcasters expand. We have some inside techniques for programming your station and best practices. And then we have a look at our future roadmap and plans. We have some really big plans here, and I'm excited to kind of share them with you guys. And then, of course, take feedback. Most importantly, and then last but not least, we'll have the opportunity to ask our management team any questions you may have. So as I mentioned, throw those into the chat. All questions are definitely welcome. We're excited to take them. We will have that happy hour at the end. We'll have a nice flow back and forth. You guys are welcome to ask anything that may be on your mind. So most importantly, before I get started, from myself and from everyone at our Live 365 team, I want to say thank you to our broadcaster community in general. You guys empower. We're very passionate about building great products and great things to be able to help all of you guys. Every day, it's so cool. I run into a different station that I see that we're able to help and kind of help power such cool content, such cool things. And so without you guys, this event, the summit wouldn't be possible, and Live 365 wouldn't be possible in general. So before we get started, I just want to say thank you to everyone for attending today, and thank you to everyone for being a part of this awesome community. So, all right, without further ado, let's jump in and I'll give you guys the quick rundown of the agenda, and then we can get right to it here. So we just did our welcome and overview of today's sessions. My name is Justin Ruoff. I'm the VP of Operations here at Live 365. Our second session kicks off to be a website 3.0 preview. We have Jason Stoddard, our general manager. Third up, I have a programming best practices. It's going to be led by Cam Black. He's our deployment specialist. Fourth, we have iHeartRadio distribution and new packages that we'll be showing you guys. Our Matt Kellogg, our VP of sales, will be showing through that. And then our keynote here is our CEO, John Stephenson. He'll be going over the future of Live 365. And then, of course, the happy hour that everyone's excited for. So without further ado, let's go ahead and kick it off. I am going to pass the screen sharing power over to Jason Stoddard, and you can fire away and kick us off and show us about the Live 365 3.0.
So my name's Jason Stoddard. I'm the general manager at Live 365. You may even know me from the previous incarnations of Live 365, where I've been here since 99. So almost since the beginning. This is just a brief preview of website 3.0. We call it 3.0 because this is really, there was the launch in 2017. We did a facelift between then and now, and this one actually includes every single external page on the website. So I know a lot of you that are broadcasters, you've seen some of the dashboard stuff on the back end. So this is the forward facing. This is the things that are facing the listeners. This is where we can show off your station. And really excited about it with our design team and the front end team, then the hard work they put into it. And so happy to show some goals. So we started off with, what do we want to do? What do we want to accomplish with the website? One of the main things was easier overall site navigation, and basically how do we get listeners to the stations they want. So this is kind of the first step in that type of a movement, where we're going to highlight the station pages. You can kind of see here one of our newer broadcasters, Flood FM. There's that image that actually is the new station page, the top portion of the new station page. And so that's what that's going to look like. You can kind of see that we've kind of highlighted the background image is much larger. There's a kind of a more modern feel to it. We did also, not seeing it here, but I'll show you in a few minutes here, you'll see some of the changes as well, where the about is on the left-hand side. So it's kind of like where the eyes go first. So like when you're talking about your station, you have your station descriptions. Those will show up really nicely. We're doing genre pages. So you'll have genre pages for, say, rock, for all the top level genres. Actually, even the sub genres, we're doing them. They're not quite as pretty as the top level. And those new genre pages actually have areas, editorial areas, where we'll be able to showcase stations and rotate stations through there. So not only will it have the top stations in there, but it'll also have a rotating carousel of 8 stations that we can change out. So you guys will get, it's just a little bit more area for us to help market the stations. And it's not necessarily based for those areas. It's not based on popularity. So new stations can be featured there, stations that maybe aren't getting quite the bubbling up to the top organically. We can help you out there. We do have an updated player bar as well. And then on the sales side, which maybe not quite as exciting for you all, but exciting for us, is some segment pages. So pages that speak to specific sales verticals as far as people signing up. So whether you're a terrestrial, there's a page for you if you're a terrestrial broadcaster and you want to see what we offer to terrestrials. If you're a brand, if you're talk, and there's also some new packages which our VP of Sales, Matt, will be showing off later. And now I'm going to try to flip over here to my other screen. This is actually live in our staging environment. And this is what the homepage is going to look like. It's a little larger than maybe what you would see normally on your when you're pulling it up, but that's just so you guys can see it a little better. You can kind of see the grid that we had before is gone. We're going to be focusing on search here. We're basically, go ahead and enter what you want to listen to, whether it's a station, it's a genre. We're hopefully at some point we'll be expanding the search too, and with recommendations, but this is kind of the first step, right? I'll scroll down a little bit and you can kind of see that there are some areas here still where there's some marketing areas. There's also the top stations, and we can highlight genres or other things as far as Pride Month, Black History Month, those types of things down here. So some changes on that, and just overall kind of a more modern look and feel. Let's see if we'll flip through here. Here you go. This is kind of some of the sales pages. You can kind of see this 1, 2, 3, how to get started. You'll see some of the packages. Actually, those are filling in a little slow. Again, it's staging, so those are a bit quicker, but you'll see some of the packages again later with Matt. This is kind of our the brand page. So we got a nice quote here from Shaquille O'Neal. This is kind of one of my favorites are going to be the new genre pages. So again, you're going to be able to go directly to a genre. Here's a rock genre. We'll be able to feature some stations here as far as this carousel goes. And those we'll be able to handpick editorial for those pieces. You will be able to go ahead and actually dive into the subgenres, which right now they're kind of hidden. That's always been a little bit of a pet peeve for me. When I get to the main genre, I want to be able to dive into the subgenre. So you'll be able to dive into subgenres pretty easy. And then, of course, you'll have kind of the top stations in here as well. This one's a mock-up that we have. I think I had one other piece. So this is more of the live kind of station page that was on the slide that I showed. And you can kind of see here again, we've updated the whole top section is new. And then Flood doesn't have the hugest about us, but your about us is over here on the left-hand side. And that's kind of the place where you have all of your text and copy. And that would be the station page. And this is happy to say as well that this is launching next month. So, the work has been put in. Most of the pages up on stage are live, and we're kind of just tinkering with some of the back and forth on it, but we will be launching it in May, and looking forward to all you guys' feedback, and hopefully you'll like it a lot. Back to you, Justin.
Go ahead and start. Awesome. Thank you, Jason. And of course, we're going to throw any questions into our chat there, and we can get them over. Let me bring up our agenda real fast. And next off, I believe I have Cam, and you're going to talk about programming. I will go ahead and pass it along to you.
Cool. As Justin said, I am Cam Black. I'm the deployment specialist here at Live365. Basically, what that means is, any new clients coming on board, I'm the one that helps them, get all set up and running and make sure they have all the tools and resources they need to be successful as a broadcaster. So today we're going to be going over a few different programming best practices as it relates to the Live365 system. I'll try to make this as brief as I can. This is programming. I love this stuff. I could talk about, programming and music all day long. So I've got three main points here. If you don't take away anything else from this, pay attention to these 3 points, the three most important things that I can possibly stress. Number one, with regards to your library, take your metadata seriously, please. Having good metadata is so important, and I can't stress this enough. Making sure you have, the artist and title of each track filled out, as well as the album if you're using the auto DJ system here. And I will go into the library here, and I'll show you what I mean by that. But having good and accurate metadata helps the auto DJ system have a better idea of what tracks to select. When playing out songs from your library. And it's a good experience for the listener as well, because they can look, on your player or station page and see, exactly what's playing or what's, been recently played. Number two, even if you're only broadcasting with Live DJ, meaning you're using your own software, you're using your own encoder, an external encoder or automation system, it's still a good idea to upload some content and set up the auto DJ. And the reason why is because you can use this as a fallback. If the power goes out or your internet goes out, we've all had issues like that before. What that does is will allow your station, if your encoder goes offline for any reason, it'll fall back to the auto DJ. It'll start playing tracks, out of your auto DJ library, and your station will stay online. You won't go offline at all. So that's super important. Uptime is so important for a lot of stations. If you're offline, then nobody's hearing you. Number three, have enough content, and this is something that's pretty important, and we see this pretty often. If you're only going to upload 15 or 20 tracks, the system's not going to have enough to choose from. You're going to run into some errors. It might even stop playing entirely because it won't have anything to choose from. So upload plenty of content. At minimum, a few hours worth. So, like 100, 200 tracks, more if you can. So that's always super important too. Have enough content, even when you're going in and making categories, which I'll show you later on as well. Have enough content in each category as well. So we're going to start off. I will show you, we're going to go into the tracks library here, the media library. I can go ahead and sort this by title. And if you look here, every track in this library has good, nice, clean metadata. The song name is set. The artist name is set, the album is set. We even have uploaded good album art for all of these, which will show up on your Live365 station pages. So very important. Have good metadata. The album is one that people sort of, kind of neglect or won't fill it in. And a lot of times you'll look at someone's library and it'll be, untitled album. That's kind of a problem because the system will think that, it's all from, one album and it won't have enough to select from. Fill out the album too. It's so important. Take the time, do your metadata up right. It's kind of a tedious process, but I promise you it's worth it. So there's a few different ways you can broadcast on Live365 and do your, your programming and your rotations. Number one, you can just upload a bunch of tracks and have the auto DJ do everything for you. So if we go into under sources and auto DJ, under track mix, we can just have a selection method. It's going to be random. It's going to pull tracks from your library at random out of these selected types. So we've got, music and then some station IDs, and we can select the number of station IDs per hour. And then we've got, separation rules. Don't play the same artist within, 45 minutes. You can adjust this all the way up to 240 minutes. Again, with same album, same title, and the same individual track. So you can all adjust those. But we can get more advanced. And if we go into let me show you, if we go under schedule and go into clock wheels, this is where we get really advanced and start really diving into this. So if we go into the clock wheels, I've made a demo clock wheel here. And if you don't know what a clock wheel is, I will show you. This is a clock wheel. It starts off by, you're going to add music to your categories. And then you can pick, when you add a clock wheel entry, you can pick either a type if you want, just music, or you can have music that's part of a specific category. So we're going to go, if you think of a clock wheel, it's exactly that. It's a wheel. It's going to go, what does a wheel do? It goes round and round. So you're going to go start at the top. It's going to play, a song from this category first. It's going to move on to the next one. It's going to go to category 2, then to a music, and then category 3, it's going to play an ID. And then when it gets to the bottom, it's going to start over again at the top. So it'll play all of these in order and then, start itself over. So we can do, I will add a clock wheel entry here. We'll just pick, category 2. You can have as many of these categories as you want. I would definitely, encourage you to have more, have as many as you want. And then we can pick an algorithm. We can do random. You can sort by oldest meaning the least recently played album, artist, or track. And then we can have most recent album or artist. So we can do oldest track. And what I would say here is definitely have a good mix when you're making your clock wheels of random and oldest track. Don't just put them all in oldest track, because otherwise you're going to get into a situation where eventually it's going to start playing everything in order because, everything will be the oldest track. So it'll start, it'll get into the algorithm it's just going to play everything in order. So have a good mix of both random and oldest track or oldest artist. Definitely mix it up a little bit. This is pretty powerful tool. There's a few different things that we can do with the clock wheels. Number one, we can make a scheduled event for just the clock wheel. Or number two, we can have your station, instead of playing by the auto DJ, it will play just the clock wheel. So if we go again under sources and to auto DJ, back into track mix, instead of selection method random, go to selection method clock wheel. And then under the clock wheel, we can pick, whatever clock wheel we want the auto DJ to use. And again, this is important. As I said before, have enough content, because it's still going to have to look at these separation rules in order to, to make a determination as to what to play. So again, have enough content for sure. So now if we hit save, the auto DJ is going to start playing based upon that clock wheel that we made. Something else we can do, we can schedule an event with that clock wheel. So for example, if we want that clock wheel to play on Saturday. We're going to have a special event with just that clock wheel. It's going to play a certain type of music that you can schedule into those categories let's do like Saturday at noon. We can do, instead of a playlist, we can do a clock wheel. I'll show you a playlist as well, but we'll do clock wheel. We'll pick what clock wheel we want. We'll give it a title. It's going to play Saturday at noon. We want it to be, I don't know, 1 hour. That's probably fine. And then flexible or strict for scheduling. What does that mean? Flexible means that, at the time you set your current, at the time you set for this to play, it's going to allow whatever song is currently playing to finish. Strict means that if you set it to play at noon, it's going to start playing at noon, even if it means cutting off the track that's currently playing. So it's going to be 100% starting exactly at noon. I prefer the flexible one because, having a song cut off is usually not good for the type of stations that I run. If you run, an instrumental station or something like that, that might be different for you. We can turn on crossfading, and then we can make it recurring as well. So if we want this to be every Saturday, we can do that. For this one, I'm not going to have recurring on, and we'll just go ahead and hit save. Now we have our event here. If we scroll down, and we can even click into it, and it shows exactly, based on the clock wheel that we made, exactly what tracks are going to play and the time they're going to play at. So that's pretty cool. Now for scheduled events, we can also do playlists where you select the specific tracks rather than selecting the categories. So I made a demo playlist here. I put an hour of music or so in here. On the right side is the playlist itself, and then on the left side we've got all the tracks in our library. We can scroll through. We can go through all the different pages here, and then to add a track, we just go ahead and hit the plus, and it adds over here to our playlist. Something that I see people do fairly frequently is they'll come in here and they'll just start adding a bunch of music, or only adding, if you look at the the first page and you start adding stuff, you'll only add things from one specific artist. The playlist isn't going to like that, and it's not going to schedule because you're going to run into separation rule issues, DMCA violations, and it's not going to schedule. So again, have enough content and mix it up. Add stuff from a bunch of different artists and different albums, and then we can even, once we have all the songs we want in the playlist, we can shuffle it up if we want to do that as well. And we can save our playlist, and then you can schedule that playlist again under the events. We'll create a new event, and this time we'll choose playlist. Choose the playlist we want. Again, flexible is fine. We'll turn on the crossfading. And again, that was about a 1 hour playlist, so we'll schedule it for an hour. And this time, that's going to be, we're going to put it Saturday. How about 1 o'clock? That'll work. So this will be, show number 2, and then we'll save it. And here it is, with exactly the tracks that we have in that playlist. And if this is a good example, if you want to, have a playlist of tracks that play in the order you want them to play in. So you can definitely do that as well. Now, a couple other examples, especially for the clock wheels. Let's say, for example, every Thursday from here on out is going to be like Throwback Thursday or something. So we can do that. If we go into, let's go under media. We're going to make a new category. And then we'll add a category. Let's call it throwbacks. We can give it a nice color. How about this color? Now we'll go back into our track library. Let me sort these. and I'll go into, let me pick some tracks that don't have categories assigned. Yeah, that should work. Let's just pretend that these are all throwback songs. We use the bulk action and then edit the category. And then we can put them in that throwback category. Hit save. And there they are. So now we can go and use that category in a clock wheel. If we go under schedule, clock wheels, add a new clock wheel. Now let's make a clock wheel that's specific for a Throwback Thursday. So if we type in Throwback Thursday, again, we can give it a color. Yeah, how about that? Double click into it. This is a blank clock wheel, so we're going to build this one from scratch. So we're going to add a clock wheel entry, type or category, and we will use our our throwbacks category. Started off with a a random algorithm, and you can definitely play around with this and do whatever you like. Definitely have some fun with it. We'll keep adding some more throwbacks. Let's do oldest track. That's probably fine. And then let's do it again. And then maybe oldest artist. And then after these 3 songs play, how about we put in, a station ID, like a jingle or a sweeper. So this is as simple as your clock wheel can be. It'll play, 3 throwbacks, it'll play an ID, and then it'll start over again at the top, play 3 more throwbacks, and then an ID. It'll go over and over again for as long as you schedule it for. So now we can take this clock wheel, go back to our events, create a new event. Let's make it a clock wheel. Now we have our Throwback Thursday. Again, flexible is fine. Let's call it Throwback Thursday. We'll schedule it for Thursday at noon. So how about every Thursday for 2 hours at noon every week until and you can schedule this into the future, as far into the future pretty much as you want. So we'll go like every Thursday for the next like 6 months is going to be Throwback Thursday at noon. So now we do that. We'll hit save. And there we have it. There's our Throwback Thursday block. If we can click into it and see all the tracks that are scheduled. So again, if it's going to play the 3 songs, it's going to play a station ID, 3 more songs, and another station ID, and it's just going to go on and on for that 2-hour block. So that's how the clock wheels work. Another example that we can use this for is around the holidays. Some broadcasters like to start mixing in Christmas music every once in a while, but you don't want it to be taking over your whole station, a month before Christmas. So you can start adding, 1 song in here and there. So what we can do, we can make a new category. This is just to give you guys another example of how to use this tool. Call it Christmas. Let's make it red, because why not? Let's go back to our tracks. And then let me go to a different page here just to kind of save some time. Oh, I've already put some of those in a category. This will work. Let's pretend that these are all Christmas songs. So we'll go ahead and we will add these to our Christmas category. Now, when we go back to our clock wheel, we can edit an existing one. Say we're already using this demo clock wheel for our rotation. So all we have to do is go into it and then add a new clock wheel entry. We'll pick Christmas music. And then Random is probably fine. We can hit save, and then it's like going to be at the bottom of the list. And then again, you can click on it and drag it to wherever you want it to be in your clock wheel rotation. So we want it to be right here. So every once in a while, now our clock wheel is going to throw in one Christmas song. So that's just another example of how we can use that. Let me show you guys a couple of errors as well that you might run into. So if we go into, I'm going to go in and make a new category. I'm going to show you what can happen. So let's do new category, demo category 4. Back into the tracks. Now, for the sake of this demo, let's only go ahead and put these 2 tracks in our category. So we'll give it, 2 songs. It's going to be in category 4. Let's save those. Now we see this song has 2 categories now, which is totally fine. You can put the same song in multiple categories if you want. Now we'll go back. We can do a new clock wheel. Let's use this one. I don't think I've used this one yet. Let's get rid of this. Now, if we only put in demo category 4, random, let's add another one. Let's give it all this track. Yeah, and we can toss an ID in there for good measure too. Now, what happens when we try to schedule this? We go into events. Let's make a new event. Clock wheel, we'll give it the demo clock wheel 2. And then we'll give it show number 3. That's fine. We'll set it for about Friday at 10 a.m. It's going to be a 1-hour show. Nope, not a 1-minute show, a 1-hour show. Yeah, we'll turn the crossfading on, and then we'll hit save. But whoops, look up here. We got an error that says could not select a DMCA compliant track for that random clock wheel event. Again, this is going back to what I said earlier. Have enough content, not only in your library, but in your categories. Otherwise, you're going to get stuck with these errors. So let me show you how to fix it. All we have to do, go back to tracks, and we're just going to give it some more. Give it some more to work with. Here, we can resort these by title, however we want to do it. Yeah, this will work. We'll select all these tracks now. Now, if we put it back in this demo category 4, hit save. Now, keep in mind, we're not going to touch the clock wheel at all. We're going to leave the actual clock wheel exactly as it is and not touch it at all. All we're doing is adding more tracks to the category. So if we go back into the schedule, events, try to schedule that same exact event again with this clock wheel. That's our demo clock wheel 2. We haven't touched it. It's the same. Show 4. It's going to be on Friday at 10 for an hour. Just turn our crossfading on. Now if we hit save, there we go. Now it works. And we didn't change the clock wheel. All we did was add more music to the category. Again, that point that I made, have enough content for sure. So if we look here, we have our event. We can look and see what tracks are going to play during that event. It's going to play, 2 tracks from that category, a station ID, 2 more station ID over and over for that entire hour. And that's really all I have to show. It's a really powerful tool. And another thing that I would mention is if there's a certain feature that you'd like to see for the auto DJ or the scheduler, let us know. We're usually pretty good about adding stuff like that. For example, the clock wheels. the clock wheels was a community suggested feature that we added. So definitely, if it's something you want to see, let us know for sure. So we'll go back here. Again, the three most important things. Number one, take the metadata seriously. There's a lot of tools in here where you can even do it in bulk. You can bulk update your metadata. If we select it, we can go edit metadata. For example, if you have a bunch of songs that are, from the same album, you can select all those, put the album in here, hit save. Definitely take the metadata seriously for sure. Number two, even if you're only broadcasting in live DJ mode, meaning using your own automation, your encoder, still try to set up the auto DJ anyway as a fallback in case anything happens at home or in your studio where the power goes out or the internet goes out. And again, number three, as as I've said a bunch of times, have enough content. You can't. I know this is kind of a slippery slope, but I always say you can't have enough. Maybe others would disagree with me, but in this case, more gives the system more to work with. You're going to run into less errors, have less issues. Everything's going to work much better when you have more music for sure. And that about wraps it up for me. I don't think I really have anything else to show off. Again, if you have any questions, go ahead and hold them for the end, and I will go ahead and turn this back over to Justin. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Cam. And thank you for the great T-ball. Actually, I'm going to take your T-ball real quick. And Cam was very right when he mentioned, the big thing that drives the way we build product here and everything that we do here is the feedback that we get from our customers. And a lot of the features that we have built are based around feedback that we got from you guys, the community in general. And so I do want to show you guys actually and kind of take Cam's T-ball there and show you guys how to submit feature requests to us, and something that is we look at and monitor a great deal, and it takes a great deal of precedence in our road mapping process. And so if you go to feedback.live365.com, this is where you can upvote suggestions. You can add new suggestions. You can see it's a self-service portal. If you want to add any feature requests to come up, you can put your suggestion, any descriptions, anything at all that you'd like to kind of share with our team. We have tons of you already have contributed to this, so thank you very much. We've seen them. They definitely take a lot of weight with us as we're building products, because our goal is to build products that empower you guys to be able to create great stations and to be able to create an awesome community. So tons of requests have already been through, tons have been done, tons are in the planning stages and are being actively worked on right now. I can assure you that. And tons are in our roadmap for future quarters. So we have a great deal of stuff in here. I encourage everyone to go on here and upvote things that you like, add new things that you like. Like I said, we really do take a great deal of value in this, and we want to hear from our audience, because we want to make sure we're building tools that help all of you guys create better stations and create better content. So okay, on that note, let's get back into our schedule here. Next up, I have Matt Kellogg, our VP of Sales. He's going to talk about iHeart distribution and new packages we have. So Matt, on that note, I will pass the screen over to you.
Hi, everybody. It's great to see all of you today. And I'm super stoked to be here. We got some fun things that we're going to be talking about. I just want to say hi to a few of my radio station friends here that I really look up to. I see Ben Funk Torres from Moon Alice Radios here. Thank you. Great to see you. Bud Kress from that 70s channel. And some great local radio stations that have done just a phenomenal job. Steve Martin with the Voice of Paso, Conifer Radio as well. Russ, I see you, and Jason Allen, great to see you as well. So there's probably more people I'm forgetting, but super passionate about what all of you are doing, how you're working with Live365 to create unique and individual streams and voices and personalities that is filling the internet radio realm with amazing content. It's a lot of fun, and it's a great joy for me to be a part of this team. So I'm grateful to be here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen right now, and I will present, as Justin mentioned, I am here to talk about new packages. Jason alluded to this. And Justin, can you see my screen?
Yep, perfect.
Ruby. Jason alluded to this, that with website 3.0 that's going to be coming out, we have a lot of great new features, including some new packages. We are adding 2 new packages that I am super excited to share about. We have recently inked a deal with iHeartRadio that is going to allow Live365 to send a finite number of stations to iHeartRadio. 100 stations is where we're at right now. We can send 100 stations over there. Why is this a big deal? Well, as you know, as internet radio broadcasters, one of the biggest challenges is gaining and keeping an audience. I don't think I'm alone in saying that, and some of you have thought that. And we have been working long and hard hours and months to figure out ways to further distribute your audio streams to increase your chances in increasing your audience size. There is no other better opportunity outside of being within Live365, if we're going to step out into another distribution outlet, than to look at iHeartRadio. And Jason Stoddard, credit where credit is due, our GM, has been working so hard behind the scenes, helping make this deal happen. And really our whole team, from our CEO to our director of operations and our solutions team, bringing it all together to make a seamless transition to send your stations now to iHeart. Why is this a big deal? iHeartRadio has 125 million active listeners here in the United States and only about 1,000 radio stations. To put that in perspective, I'm going to use the other large internet radio distribution that is not Live365 that you may have heard of, and that's TuneIn. Well, love TuneIn as well. I'm not here bad-mouthing any distribution. We're all about getting your stream to as many places as possible. TuneIn, by the way, for the most part, is starting. The rumor is they're allowing to add stations once again, though there are some obstacles there. We are not affiliated with that in any way, but I am throwing that out there because I have heard that TuneIn has been locked down for quite a while. Some of you may know. But to put that in perspective with TuneIn has less active users at 75 million, still a very large audience, but they have 120,000 radio stations. So it's a bit of a needle in a haystack situation with TuneIn, as opposed to a large fish in a small pond with iHeart. We want the large fish in the small pond, right? The opportunity to increase your audience is going to go up exponentially with distribution through iHeart. The deal that we have, as I mentioned, only allows for 100 stations. And we are announcing it right now. The PR hasn't gone out yet. Nothing has gone out. We have some stations that have just gone live that have been working with us as beta testers. So we're really excited to share this news with you. And this goes into our new packages. Now, as Jason mentioned, with our broadcaster pages, we have more broadcaster pages for the type of broadcaster you are. So if you're a faith-based radio station, we have broadcast packages for you. If you are a talk-based radio station, we have broadcast packages for you, and so on. Today, I'm going to be showing you the internet-only broadcast packages. For the most part, what you're going to be receiving with your packages across the board of our broadcast pages are the same. There's going to be some differentiators between some of these. However, the big things that we're going to be talking about today are generally going to be on all packages. So I'm just going to be sharing the internet-only packages. What you can see right now, obviously, we've always offered the ad-supported and the ad-free listening with the cost change, right? So what now we're looking at is ad-supported packages. We are not raising the prices on anything with our packages, broadcast 1 through 3. They are absolutely the same. starting at $59 for broadcast ad supported, $79 for ad free. Same thing with broadcast 2. This is where things start to change. Now, I want to point out, and you probably know this, one of the, not one of, the major cost that's associated with the cost that you're paying is the sound exchange and other licensing fees that we're covering on your behalf. And that's why we have our package and TLH packages, right? And as the TLH goes up, so does the cost. That's the primary focus, and that's where most of our money is going. That said, we want to create as much value as we can. We understand, hey, we're all on a budget, right? Like we only have so much money. Some budgets are bigger than others. We understand that as well. But we do want to offer as much value as we can. And we've been working with some great partners and have some great things that are going to be coming down the pipe. And I'm going to be sharing a couple of those today. First off, I'd like to point out at the Broadcast 3 package, if you look at that again, we're still looking at 7,000 monthly TLH, and the gigabyte media storage is the same. However, we are going to start creating custom mobile apps and Alexa skills for the Broadcast 3 package. If you are a current Broadcast 3 package, I imagine you're wondering about that. That is fine. You can absolutely email your account representative or support at live365.com, and we will start working with you on that. For anybody that's at a Broadcast 2 package and you're thinking about coming to Broadcast 3, or maybe perhaps you're having overages. Maybe you're already over that 3,500 and it would make sense to come over to that Broadcast 3. You're going to end up there anyways, let's be honest. You're going to get an app and an Alexa skill that's custom made for you, which is pretty darn exciting. To kind of put that in perspective, other companies, if you research individual mobile apps and individual Alexa skills, you're looking at a minimum of $100 in a month for one of those. We're including that at no extra cost for you. We value your partnership. And again, we want to provide as much value as we can, as often we can. And this is right about where we can start doing that. So with that Broadcast 3 package, we are going to now be including custom mobile apps and Alexa skills. Those mobile apps will be available on iOS and Android. I do have a disclaimer for that though. And the same goes with the Alexa skills for the most part. With the iOS app in particular, if you don't have one already or are not familiar, you will have to create an Apple developer account and you will be on the hook for a $99 a month, $99 a year fee, not a month, $99 a year fee. You will have to pay Apple directly from them. You are the publisher. We then work with you to place the app into the App Store for iOS. With the custom Alexa skill, if you're not familiar with an Alexa skill, basically right now, if you listen or ask to listen to a radio station, it's through two things, right? Either iHeartRadio or TuneIn. And typically they're pulling up a station based on the call letters. And by the way, call letters are most typically associated with commercial or over-the-air radio stations, not internet radio. We've created an Alexa skill for Live365, but you can have your own very own. I'm just going to use Moon Alice Radio for an example. We can create an Alexa skill and you say, hey, let me make sure she's not on. No. Hey, Alexa, play Moon Alice Radio. And with that invocation, we will create the backend that will then pull up that stream from Live365 and begin to play that onto your Alexa. So I can give you an idea of what a custom Alexa skill is. So it's the name of your station, what we call the invocation. Sometimes those stations, they're almost the invocation, that's the word they use, is a bit like a website address in that it may already be taken. So if I'll give you an example, like my demo station on Live365 is called The Fox, 1017 The Fox. Don't listen to it. It's not that great. It's just a demo station. But if I was to say, hey, I want to create an Alexa skill called the Fox, that might already be taken, right? There's a few radio stations in the world, and let alone in this country, that are probably known as the Fox. So, we typically work with our publishers, our radio stations. Give us three, right? Give us three invocations. If that first one doesn't work, we're going to try for number two. If that doesn't work, we'll try for number three. Typically, by that third one, we have it. That's how that's going to work. So we're going to be including those in the broadcast 3, as well as our 2 new packages, our broadcast 4 and broadcast 5 packages. Again, the main lift for the cost associated for us and you is the sound exchange license coverage that we're going to be providing. The broadcast 4 package is $499 with ad supported. That includes 10,000 monthly TLH. We've doubled up the storage. Show me a station that's got 200 gigabytes of media storage, and man, I'm going to be really impressed. I'm sure there's somebody that could fill it. I challenge you. That's a lot. That's a lot of storage. We're going to create the custom mobile app and the Alexa skill. And this is where your station gets put on iHeart. As I mentioned, this is a finite number. So once we hit 100, we can't accept it anymore. So until hopefully the day comes where we can increase that number with iHeart. But right now it's just 100, and really it's first come, first serve. And if you are interested in that, then you would want to email sales@live365.com, sales@live365.com. And again, there might be stations that are here today that are already getting that listening, TLH listening, and aren't being charged for it with the overages. Maybe you are getting tagged with the overages. I don't know. But eventually, if you're at around 10,000 hours, you're going to be at a broadcast 4 package. And the good news is we're going to push you on iHeart if you're one of the 100 stations. We've talked about the iHeartRadio distribution and why that's a big deal, right? 125 million active listeners, small amount of radio stations. The chance to get heard is great, and I can tell you, it's really cool. This is a Live 365 station that we had in beta. Amazing Hope Radio, good friends of mine. We were able to put them onto iHeartRadio. And they just went live today, and they're really excited. I could tell you this person in particular, I have known her from X Live 365 when I worked there. She was with us. Her dream has always been on the iHeart. So to be able to kind of make her dream come true, or at least make that dream a reality, for me, feels really good. I really do understand the inherent value of being on iHeart. I get it. It's a big deal. Like if you're like iHeart Schmeiheart, that's totally fine. But I cannot emphasize allowing an internet radio station like yours and getting it onto iHeartRadio. It's a big freaking deal. Because it's impossible. I've been working in the internet radio industry for years now, and for an internet-only radio station to get on iHeart, it is near impossible for you to do that. But with the hard work of our team and Jason Stoddard at Live 365, we have made a path through. There is an increase in cost. That cost is associated directly with the amount of increased traffic you're going to get with the iHeartRadio distribution. And again, a finite number. I want to share a few more things that we're going to be adding, as what we've been talking about, wanting to add value. We know you work hard for your money. We try not to take advantage of that. We certainly understand this. So we're including the custom mobile apps in Alexa skill, as I mentioned. Also, as I've mentioned, we're going to be including iHeartRadio distribution for the first 100 stations that we have. We have also struck a deal with our friends over at Benstown. Now, currently, you can access Benstown imaging, a small portion of downloads for a small monthly fee, but with the broadcast 4 and 5 package, Benstown will be including at no cost 250 format specific download elements for your stations a month. Again, like the storage, I don't think you could do 250 downloads, but these pieces of imaging that they put together are the best in the world, that the biggest radio stations in this country are using right now. You're going to have access to that. Sweepers, artist ID liners, beds, you name it, you're going to have access to it, up to $250 a month, and that it will continue on until as long as you want. We're also upping our support. Now, this is a touchy subject, and I want to let you know that we hear you, we understand. At the end of the day, we have 3,000 radio stations. We don't have 3,000 support staff, right? We try and keep our costs low, so we try and do a lot. And our support team works their butts off, I can tell you. They're working 7 days a week. So you may not be receiving a email response right away. We are not ignoring you. We want to fix your situation or your issue as fast as humanly possible. But we only have so many hands and so many feet, and we are all working together as a team to help provide the best possible support we can, headed by our moderator, our backseat moderator, Philip, that's here today. Our solutions team works really, really hard, and we wouldn't be where we are today without the support team that we have. So when you get angry at your next email that you want to fire off, please just know that there's a human being on the other side that's working their tail off to make sure your experience is as good as possible. We understand frustrations come. With that said, we are going to be including what's called a premium support package for this Broadcast 4 package, which is going to cut your response time in half. Right now, we have a 24-hour support goal. We want to try and get to your ticket within 24 hours. With the Broadcast 4 package, that's going to be 12 hours. So we're going to cut that in half. You're going to get a guaranteed response and a possible solution within that 12 hours. Not on here, I want to let you know we are still working behind the scenes on a couple projects that I think you're going to be really excited about. One is we're working with a third-party automation system that we hope to be able to offer at zero cost at the Broadcast 4 and 5 packages. We're also working with that automation system to make a cost-effective solution for our Broadcast 1 through 3 packages. It's really a fantastic third party. I gotta call it a third party automation system. We haven't signed any deals yet. So, but I can't wait to show you. I can't wait to start demoing this automation system. You're going to love it. For the folks that like an automation system, you're going to love it. And I just kind of have to leave it there. We're also working with, All Access, which is super exciting. All Access, if you're not familiar, is an radio industry rag, if you will, that is online. One of the key features that All Access offers is free downloads to recent musical ads. So if you're an alternative radio station, they have an alternative page where you can access the latest Church's song, right? That Church has just released a song. Pretty good. I got to listen to it again. But you could download it. So now you don't have to actually pay for these fees, which is super exciting. This is going to be available for our Broadcast 4 and our Broadcast 5 packages. I do definitely want to suggest going to All Access and signing up for a free subscription. The amount of content that they're making available, from news to artist news to up-to-date information that is available for you for free, take advantage of it, please. However, if you would like to get the song available, the only way that you'll be able to do that is through the Broadcast 4 and the Broadcast 5 package. And much like iHeart, I would also like to point out, like, this is a big deal. The fact that I get to say this is a big deal for more than one thing is really kind of cool. It's a big deal because All Access only allows commercial over-the-air radio station to access their music library for downloads. That's why it's a big deal. We're going to be the only internet radio provider that is going to be allowed to offer its station downloads. Again, this is going to be the Broadcast 4 and the Broadcast 5 package. Again, the fee is associated with the TLH, and that TLH, you're going to see those numbers if you go to iHeart. So we've been working really hard to make sure we could fit as much value into these packages as we can, knowing that it's not cheap, because licensing isn't that cheap. And when you have more people listening, the more expensive it gets, as we all know. Broadcast 5 is similar to Broadcast 4, double the TLH. That we have not that many stations pushing 20,000 monthly TLH, but we have them. They're out there. And again, we're going to offer you the custom mobile apps, Alexa skills, the iHeart distribution, Benstown, VIP support. We're going to take that 12-hour support and we're going to cut that into half. So now you're going to get a response time 6 to 8 hours, which we're really super excited about. I've been talking a lot, and I'm in sales. That's what I do. So I apologize for all the words. The last thing that I really just kind of want to really kind of share with you, if I can, is these two packages. Again, we had the advertising revenue share, right? So here's the cost of those if you're going to go ad free. But we've also added a nice single tick of the annual term. If you can pay 1 year in advance, we're going to take 20% off the top, right off there. So here's an ad supported annual term. So a Broadcast 1 package is $601. And if I go here to my handy little calculator, if I did 59 times 12, that's 708. That's a savings of over $100 just for that Broadcast 1. So 20% discount. You just click on that. You will be charged for that year right then and there. So if you are a current long-term Live365 station, I would suggest opting into that, right? You have an opportunity to save some money. My GM at Live365 is probably yelling at the screen right now because I said that, but it's there, that 20%. You might as well start taking advantage of it today. With that, I will hand over my time and things back to Justin. Thank you so much for letting me share. And Live365, thank you for the amazing content that you put out. I'm continually surprised by the amount of amazing music I get to discover and listen to on a daily basis. And it's because of you and all the hard work you're doing. Have a great day, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. And yeah, well said. We do get the best job ever. We get to listen through all the different content, the amazing stuff that we find every day is awesome. Each day, I think we find something new on the network. That's incredible. Okay, let me jump back at our schedule. I'm going to do one quick Thibaut here. Right before we pass it on to John, I do want to show you guys, I do want to show you guys our support desk. So Matt had mentioned our support team. We are continuing to make upgrades to our support staff, to our support programs, to the knowledge-based content that we have out there for you guys. We totally understand that there's a million, an endless ways to kind of program everyone's station. Everyone has different setups. Everyone does it a little differently. Our goal is to provide the best support we can across all of the different setups and be able to help everyone with issues as quickly as possible. I definitely want to encourage everyone to check out the help. If you haven't gone over there, we've released a new kind of support knowledge-based experience earlier this year. The new URL is help.live365.com. You'll be able to check all of your tickets here if you have tickets in with our team. We do have a ton of great knowledge-based content. Our team is always focused on updating this content, from everything from going live to general overviews to metadata. A lot of stuff Cam had shown earlier on Clock Wheels. Ton of great and very useful information is in our support desk. We also have our community forums where you can engage with other folks in the community and navigate through any FAQs. In the future, we will be developing a Live365 training program. We'll let everyone kind of go through that, be able to kind of get through everything, get a certificate, and be able to kind of be Live365 trained. But I definitely encourage everyone to check that out. Check out this help desk. A ton of very, very valuable resources for everyone. So that's my shameless plug in the middle of it here. On that note, let's get back to our agenda. And next up, I'm going to pass everything along to John Stephenson. We're going to talk a little bit about the future of Live 365. So John, I will pass the screen sharing over to you.
All right, awesome. Hello, everybody. I'm John Stephenson, CEO at Live365. Wherever you're listening in the world, we are really glad to have you here with us for today. And for the next couple of minutes, I want to show you what's next for Live365 and also take a look at collectively how we fit together in the audio space. But first, before we talk a little bit more about where we are going, I did want to take a quick moment and reflect on our journey for how we got to where we are today. So like many members of our community, I started broadcasting with a low power FM transmitter. Probably looks familiar to a couple of you. And eventually I actually took my radio station online to a service none other than Live365. And this was 2007. And back then Live365 was a powerhouse with millions of monthly active users and tens of thousands of radio stations. I've been signing up for the service with my mother's credit card. I knew there was definitely something special about it. And fast forward about a decade later, the original Live365 filed for bankruptcy and shuttered many independent webcasters. So at that point, basically, if you were a webcaster, you either had to try to put together a solution of your own, risk going pirate, or unfortunately, silence your station. Now, my background is in streaming audio, having founded Empire Streaming in 2010, which is part of our parent company, Media Creek. And today, Empire serves content to tens of millions of users across the world, basically each and every day, across many large broadcast groups and podcasters. We're able to leverage a lot of that scale and also bring it to Live365 and all the expertise along with it. So in 2016, when Live365 Incorporated filed for bankruptcy, we knew there was something special that was tied to Live365 and its heritage. And that ultimately was a sense of community. So over several months in 2016, our company was able to acquire the assets of Live365 out of bankruptcy. And in late 2016, we embarked on a mission in our journey to rebuild the platform from the ground up. And I had one goal in mind at that point, and that was basically to provide a compliant home for webcasters to stream their audio content on the internet. Today, I am happy to announce we are at 3,200 active stations on the Live365 platform, streaming from the United States, Canada, and United Kingdom. And now, almost 5 years later, our team is even more committed to continuing on our mission of creating tools for broadcasters and audio creators as a whole and getting their content into as many diverse listeners as possible. Next, I'm going to read a quick quote that is very powerful and resonates with Live365, and it is from Chris Anderson from the book, The Long Tail. And the quote goes like this: "Up until now, the focus has been on dozens of markets of millions instead of millions of markets of dozens." I'm going to reread that one more time. Up until now, the focus has been on dozens of markets of millions instead of millions of markets of dozens. And think about this as we go through the rest of the presentation. And that brings me to our mission. So the mission of Live365 and the mission behind our parent company is all around the world's audio, powering everything from the technology, distribution, monetization, listener acquisition, and rights management. And with Live365, we're specifically focused on the long tail of audio. So in the next couple of minutes, we're going to focus primarily on two things. One, some upcoming features of Live365 that we believe are going to be monumental to our company's success, our community, and also to the audio space as a whole. Second, we're also going to take a quick look at how Live365 fits collectively into the whole audio marketplace. So taking a look at a couple of our features for broadcasters, a couple of things that you're going to see in the next couple of months and through the end of the year is multi-track. So multi-track, as Justin, when he showed the feedback.live365 portal, is definitely one of our most requested features, and we are going to be bringing it to market very shortly. Multi-track basically will allow for syndicated content to be uploaded to our servers, and you'll be able to mark the metadata so we can properly track it for audience reporting, for royalty reporting, and ultimately display it to users that are actually listening to your live audio stream. Our second primary focus for broadcasters is working on access level controls for different users. So right now, the Live365 platform is very much tied to a single user account per station. And what we want to do and what we're going to do is open it up so you can have different levels of control and offer that to different people on the platform. That's going to increase collaboration and allow you to work in tandem with other users on the platform if you invite them to help create and curate your content. Our next is going to be a continued investment in robust playout. So we've definitely focused the past couple of months and we'll continue on focusing on stability and high availability of the platform. But even further, we're going to be delivering more control over stuff such as crossfades, replay gain, audio processing, and more. Our next, which is definitely a widely requested feature, is automating our crediting for revenue. So the ads that you're able to make money on through Live365's monetization efforts, we definitely understand the frustration with having to go and request a credit and have it applied and all of that. And there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes with that. We really appreciate your patience, but that is going to be something that we are going to be focusing on automating and making it much more streamlined and much more automatic here in the coming months. Our next for broadcasters is focused on the audio delivery. So there's actually a couple parts that go into that. One is investing into some new protocols. So as many of you mentioned before, you want to hear AAC or different codecs and all of that to really enhance the audio quality and also provide a better user experience for your listeners, such as like a mobile device. So we're going to be bringing that to particular packages where you can opt into a AAC playback on your station, as well as transcoding. And our last thing for broadcasters that we are committed to bringing is more in-depth audience analytics. So not only showing you where your users are coming from, but also maybe some level of intelligence. If a user, for example, disconnects during certain songs, you'll be able to sit there and start analyzing your audience, make better programming decisions, and continue looking at who's actually listening to your station and how they're actually listening to your station. For our next part about what we're going to talk about is for audience. So as mentioned, a large part of our focus is getting audio into the ears of as many people as possible. So as Matt mentioned, our partnership with iHeart, we're going to continue working on partnerships with larger aggregators and services, and that's going to actually be for as many stations as possible. Our next is going to be investing into our platform. So as Jason showed, the Live365 website, which is going to immensely help with SEO and getting new listeners to actually come to our platform and listen. But we're also going to be focusing on other things such as offering mobile apps, as Matt mentioned, and Alexa skills. And we're going to be working on bringing that out to allow any webcaster that's on the Live365 platform, regardless of the package size, the ability to also add that in the future. It's just going to take a little bit of time. We're also going to be focusing on developing features for interacting with your audience. So things such as, hey, I like this song, and giving you that kind of feedback so you can actually use it within your daily programming. That's going to be some stuff that we're investing on, and it's also going to help increase the total time spent listening. Overall, it's going to have a lot of benefit to both the broadcaster and the listener. And the other key thing that I want to make sure that we are highlighting is this audience focus is not just on our larger packages. It definitely takes some time. There's a lot of work that's going on behind the scenes, and it's going to take some time to roll out. And we do want to make sure that we are taking care of all of our packages, regardless of if it's somebody on broadcast 1 package, all the way up to somebody that's on a broadcast 5 or even a custom package that goes beyond that. So it's definitely something that we are absolutely focused on, and we are committed to getting Live365's diverse content into as many listeners as possible. And my next point that I want to talk about is something new that we're launching on Live365, and that is podcasting. So we know there's dozens of different podcast hosting platforms out there, and that's something that we know. We've analyzed them. We've taken a look at a number of different competitors. However, we believe with our long tail mission, coupled with our existing set of features and overlap with online radio, we can build something much more unique and much more robust than others. And we're going to do that in the next coming months here on Live365, and we're extremely excited to embark on this mission with you. And that leads me to my last point. So how do we fit into the market? And I say we collectively as the Live365 platform, our staff, our community, and our valued webcasters who passionately program content each and every day. And if you look at the graph, it kind of shows a very simplified version of how we kind of fit into the ecosystem. But clearly what's being shown here is that we're not trying to compete with the likes of Spotify or Pandora or iHeart. We believe we have something much more different to offer to users, and that's the diversity of content. We are not here going after millions of users trying to listen to mainstream content, but instead, together, we are focused on giving voices to those not heard on the larger platforms. Remember the long tail? We are Live365, and we are the world's audio. In closing, I do want to thank everybody for your support and continued trust in Live365. We've got a lot of exciting things coming up, and we're literally just at the cusp of something truly great. And honestly, we could not do it without you. And I do want to thank you personally for attending this year's Live365 Summit here on World Audio Day. And Justin, I will hand it back over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, John. Great stuff. Before we jump into a QA, actually, I do want to do two last kind of update links that I want to show everybody, and then shameless plug. And then I know we have several questions that we can go ahead and take here. One thing I wanted to note to everyone is John had kind of mentioned one of the very important things about Live365 is the community aspect. We care greatly about our Live365 community of broadcasters. We can't build Live365 without the community, and it's kind of our passion every day of building tools to help this community grow. We do have several tools. I showed the forums a little earlier in the help.live365.com portal. I don't know, a lot of you already are in this, but we do have a Facebook group. It's the Live365 Broadcasters group. This is a private group for only Live365 broadcasters. You can join on there. All you have to do is click submit to join, and you can kind of join into our membership here. It's definitely a useful platform. Several members of our team are in there all the time, kind of helping talk through stuff with folks. The community is very strong. Several of you who are in this room today are very active in that group, being able to help each other. The goal ultimately there is for us all to help each other's stations get better, help us all learn, help us all grow together. So if you're not already a part of the Live365 Broadcasters group on Facebook, I definitely encourage everyone to do that. Last but not least, I wanted to make one note on featured stations. So we do have a process of featuring stations for all of your stations on our different social media platforms. As Jason had showed earlier in the day about how we have different curated genre tabs that will be released and with the new website release. Several of you already know we do features on our homepage right now. We will be expanding those features with the different genre pages into the new website. One of our goals is to be able to highlight, we have such great content, as Matt kind of alluded to it. You know, every day I think I find a new station, which is just awesome. As I'm listening to it, I'm like, this is fantastic. We need to get this to more and more people. And so we're trying to create new and better areas where we can curate this content, where we can help you guys get more exposure and really help show off such the great stations that everyone has. Part of this program, so to submit your station towards the genre, our team is curating that, but we're very helpful. You know, submitting your features can definitely help with that process. We do run featured spotlight stations on our blog. So every week we highlight one of our featured stations. We take those stations, those end up coming on to all of our social media there. They get shared throughout the week. We do run ad campaigns behind your stations there. These are also the ones that will be plucked for the genre pages, for our home pages, for these different curated lists. These are always kind of our first go-tos there. So I definitely want to encourage everyone to submit their station to be featured. It definitely can't hurt. We do have, so if you're in any of our featured ones, if you're on the blog and you just happen to be on a spotlight station one, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll be able to kind of submit your features. You can see there's a featured spotlight submission form. You can also, if you search through our support desk and you submit, how do I submit my featured? You can see we have a nice link here. And then it just links to a Google form here. And that's where you'll be able to submit any of your info, your station name, some quick info about your account, what brought you to Live365, some other stuff that gets featured into the article. This is a great way to get exposure for your station and a great way to get your station into the listing for being able to be in part of those those genres listings and those other curated lists that we'll be doing more and more as we kind of we try to make Live365 a better platform, be able to help curate music and curate stations to our listeners to kind of help all of us grow in there. These being features is available for all packages. It doesn't matter if you're broadcast 1, broadcast 5, it's available for all folks to be featured. So I definitely encourage everyone to submit to this. And we're constantly looking for new and great stations that we can highlight. And so I definitely encourage everyone to search this out. And then, and that said, Philip, do we have any questions? And do you want to kind of start us off, pluck some from our chat, and then we can open the floor up?
Awesome. So I'm going to start out with some questions for Jason. Jason, some questions came up throughout your and Cam's part of the presentation. A couple different people asked about whether album artwork is necessary, as well as, you know, if we have any suggestions on how to feature an artist, but still be for a whole hour, like a spotlight on 1 hour, but being able to remain compliant. And that's something that you and I have talked about before, Jason. So I wonder if you could speak to those two kind of questions there.
I mean, so album artwork, as far as the question specifically for album artwork was around what?
It was kind of about, yeah, the question was about whether it's necessary or not. And I thought we could talk about what metadata is required as compared to what is not required.
Yeah, it's not required by, you know, copyright law, like track and artist info is. So there's that. So there's not like a legal obligation for it. Obviously, it's something that's important. It is something. I mean, we're actually working right now on a fix for a lot of the live stations where the album art's been pretty crappy. I think, you know, I'll just straight up say that as far as the number of hits that we get on it. So we've been focusing on that. We've been pushing out a couple of fixes for that. So that stations that haven't, you know, that aren't uploading tracks where you can actually just put the artwork in, but the live ones, which we're, you know, hitting Apple for through their API, we've worked on that, and you should see if not even literally right now, over the next week, huge improvements on that. So, you know, I think album artwork's really important. It's going to be even more important as we do more distribution across different mediums. For example, Chromecast onto, you know, large screen, you know, TV screens and things like that. That's where I think that's where it's kind of the most important. The bigger the screen is, the kind of the cooler the artwork is, to me at least. And then what was the second question?
Yeah, it was someone had a concern about how to feature an artist for an hour but still be in compliance. And again, I know that's something you and I've talked about before.
Yeah, that's the performance complement, which, you know, that unfortunately that's just something that is right now in the DMC or in the DMCA, I believe. And so there's not an easy way around any of that. You know, some people will do things like you can feature an artist and maybe they're in a number of different bands, you know, their solo work, different bands that they've been in, cover songs, somebody that's covered that artist's song. Those are the types of things that you can do to get around it. You can't like terrestrial stations do still, you know, you can't do, I'm playing, you know, side 2 from Dark Side of the Moon. You know, you can't go do that right now. The NAB, you know, inked a deal directly with the license, with the labels that does allow them to work outside of the that recording complement, that performance complement. So they do get to still do that because of, you know, the power of the NAB. Whereas the internet radio guys, you know, we're kind of unfortunately can't do the same thing, you know, and hopefully we can change that. I don't think that that's something that's going to change anytime soon, but it is something that's just kind of archaic. I think, you know, the idea around that was that if you played, like I said, a whole half of an album or a whole album, that somebody could record it digitally and have a perfect digital copy of it and distribute it. And that was really where it comes from. And I don't think that that's quite as much of a concern. There's people, no one even really wants MP3s anymore. For the most part, they're subscribing to a service, or they're listening to, you know, or listening to free radio and things like that. So I think, you know, that's just an archaic piece of regulation that needs to change.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you. And a couple more have come in while we've been talking here. And I guess Jason and John could both probably speak to it. And it's something that we've heard plenty of times, either in the tickets or also on that feature request portal that Justin was showing earlier. Folks that are familiar with the previous Live365, a lot of folks would like to see a dedicated encoder or a dedicated Studio Live365 kind of mobile app to help folks be able to go on the air when they're remote. I know it's not immediately in our timeline for this year, but I'm wondering if you, Jason, or John were able to speak to that as far as if we have any plans for that coming.
I mean, I'll jump in, but yeah, so it's definitely something that, we've looked at, we know that we need it. We've talked to other people out there that maybe have solutions that we could buy or even merge or acquire. We've talked about building it ourselves. We've actually I have product requirement docs that we've built internally around these encoders, having an encoder for us, building an encoder. So I would say, even though it's not something in these next two quarters as far as the roadmap, it is something that you will see movement on by realistically this time next year. So it's still a ways away, but it is something that's up there. And definitely, if you feel that this is something that's huge, that feature request portal, that really does, like Justin was saying, it does inform us as far as how we a lot of times prioritize the features, right? We're listening to you guys. So the higher up those things move on that feature request, that will definitely builds the argument and helps us prioritizing, and that's the way to get them at a higher priority.
Agreed. Awesome. Cool. Thank you, Jason. And Justin, we did just have a request about the feature request portal. If we're able to share the URL in the chat one more time, I think that'd be pretty awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, I will actually share that in our URL right now. I'll share all those links I had. And Jason was well said. If we, the more we upvote that, if we can rally that, and that's a very important thing for our community for sure. That is the huge precedent that takes over, and that's how we adjust roadmaps, and that's how we prioritize things that we're building for folks. So definitely encourage you guys to upvote that if that's something very important. We would love to hear it, and it's for sure something we would love to build.
Right. And I see we have some ongoing chat about the AAC, and John did speak to that point as far as where we're, intend on going with that with the product roadmap. And that's a very popular one on the feature request portal. So, keep on bringing that feedback in. It goes directly to the CEO, as you folks see here. And we're very aware of bringing that feature to life down the road. Matt, there's a couple questions for you if you're available.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Some folks were looking at some of the packages and prices that you mentioned, and the ones that you were showing were with ads, with our ad insertion. And so some folks had questions about how someone might monetize on the BC4, BC5 packages, or maybe what the prices are looking like if they don't go with our ad insertion. So no ads as well.
Understood. Yeah, I showed that briefly at the end, the no ad service. But, again, our legal team, Jason included on Live365, has worked with the performance rights organizations. And here in the United States, Live365, and this came out last year. I've been saying this is a big deal. And I'm sorry if that sounds funny, but it really was that for the first time in Live365's history, even going back to the 90s, internet radio stations are now allowed to monetize their own content. There was a time when you couldn't, unfortunately. And so, yeah, absolutely do that. I would like to point out, that that can be challenging, and I understand if the idea of doing the ad supported package is going to create a revenue stream and you find out that it really hasn't, it essentially we're crediting your account. So if I'm down to let's have this on another summit. Let's talk about best practices to help monetize your stream with users. The one thing that I will share, and I know that this isn't the question that was asked, is that and this goes back to my radio sales days. I say, find the fan, right? You know who your listening audience are. If you have a fan that somebody's emailing you or tells you that they love you, and it turns out that they own an auto body shop, hit them up. Don't tell them you can get some advertising, and you're gonna find the barrier to entry to get someone to pay you to have an ad on your stream is a lot lower when it's a fan of your station, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the non ad supported pricing, broadcast 1 through broadcast 3 is exactly the same. There's no change to that. Broadcast 4, if you do not want to play ads, the ad free is $674, and the ad supporting cost of $999 for the 20,000 TLH is $1,330.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Matt. Cam, I got a couple questions going in your direction if you're available.
Sure, bring it on.
We had a couple questions about recommending or suggesting an encoder for live streaming. And we did have someone mentioned possibly having an issue between wide orbit Live365 with rocket in between. That's something we could definitely address either with Cam directly in a support ticket. But generally, like best suggested encoder for a live show on Live365.
It all depends on what you want to do. If you're wanting to, play, music at the same time and have a full-on automation system, my go-to is always Station Playlist. There's a bunch of others that we recommend as well. Sam Broadcaster Radio DJ is out there. It's free, and then there are some basic. There are some other encoders out there too that are basic, and will take an audio input and send that out to Live365. Rocket Broadcaster, absolutely, that's one. There's another one. It has kind of a funny name. We like to laugh about it around here. It's called Butt, BUTT, broadcast using this tool. That's another great one. Again, it all depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to, fully automate a station and play music or whatever, or if you're just, broadcasting a live event, a church sermon or a sporting event, it's all based upon whatever your needs are as well. So hopefully I answered that okay.
Definitely. I got a couple more, and you and I can probably tag team them pretty quickly.
Sure.
Someone had noticed during your demo when you scheduled a clock wheel, you'd set it to go until 2 p.m., but then there was a track that was going to start that was going to play over past the 2 p.m. marker. Can you speak to that, or do you want me to speak to it?
I'll let you jump in if necessary, but I think what happens is it schedules the track to start before the 2 p.m. hour, and it just kind of overlaps a little bit.
Exactly. Well, then what will happen is it'll fall back to auto DJ. And so if you wanted that event to stop at a certain time, you would need to schedule a hard stop or maybe kind of tweak the selection that you're calling into those clock wheels so that you had a more concise or more accurate event. I'm pretty sure that's what was happening in that demo.
Yep,
and
exactly.
And someone else had asked, Ronnie had asked, if you want to delete a song that's in a recurring clock wheel, will it delete? Go ahead.
When you're making the clock wheels, you're not actually scheduling the actual songs in the clock wheel. You're putting them in a category. So if you delete a song from your library, it deletes it from that category. The category is still scheduled, but that song will not be in it. So that to answer your question, technically, yes. If you delete that song from your library, it's not going to be in the clock wheel anymore.
Mm-hmm. And additionally, the clock wheel track lists for recurring events are not generated until 12 to 24 hours before the event is going to play. And so you could make adjustments to the way your media is tagged up inside of the library. And then when the clock wheel generator goes to populate the next event, it wouldn't pull those tracks into the next events because you had changed whatever factor it was that you were changing. And so that's also why we tend to steer people. A lot of folks will start out with auto DJ and playlist, and then we kind of steer people towards clock wheels because of how flexible they can be. If you had a scheduled recurring playlist event, you would have to delete all the events, edit the playlist, and then reschedule them. But if a recurring clock wheel event, you can kind of tweak the library, and then future clock wheel events in that series will have an updated track list. So it's a really nice way to have flexible events coming up there, or dynamic events is what I mean to say there.
Real quick on the encoders again, I totally forgot to give some love. I'm seeing this in the chat. I forgot to give some love to our Mac users. I am and I feel bad for this because my Mac is my daily driver. For Mac, if you're looking for an encoder for Mac, that one of the software I talked about, but that is available on the Mac. If you're looking for a full-on automation, Megaseg is awesome for Mac, and as well as Radio Logic as well. So definitely look into those.
Awesome. Great. Thank you, Cam. As of right now, that's all the questions I had captured in my notepad. I do see that a few others have trickled in. Justin, how are we doing on time? Or have any caught your attention looking at the chat here?
Yeah, no, we are definitely still good on time. I'll actually hit a couple of here. I see some licensing talk on new countries that have expanded, some mentions of Australia, some other countries that folks have put on there. Definitely encourage people. We're constantly looking at expanding. The legal aspect is always very tough. We're a very small team. We work very hard, kind of continuing that process of expanding our licensing, expanding everything we can do for those. I definitely encourage folks that, I know I'm kind of a beaten to a broken record right now, but I definitely encourage, even for new countries and licensing of that, to submit those to the feedback portal or the feature request portal, because as we constantly, our team is constantly working on expanding, and we will be continuing to do that. And so the more feedback we get from you guys, since we are a small legal team, we're constantly saying, hey, what can we break off as a chunk? Which one can we go to next? And so if we have a bulk of people that are saying, hey, we really want to be in Australia, or hey, Germany is very important to us, and we see an influx of that, we know that's where we can direct our legal resources, and then be able to kind of, be able to make it possible to get into those areas. So definitely encourage, beyond just product requests, like things like that into the feedback report. Definitely very, very helpful. And then there's one other real quick one I actually wanted to address. And actually, Jason, you might be able to talk to this one. Somebody had asked when we will remove restrictions for Canada and UK for selling their own ads.
Yeah, and I answered some of the people I answered directly as well, so I was probably screwing with things a little. But yeah, so the revenue restrictions for Canada and the UK, I'd say that's we're we're very close on that. We're probably I measured in months, not and measured in probably not even 3 months. I'd say less than 3 months.
Yeah, it was very close to being something that could have been brought into this event here.
Yeah. I mean, it could be even weeks, but it'll depend. There's just ongoing agreement negotiations right now.
I can jump in real quick. I mean, we're getting a ton of questions about using the Live365 automation tools. I think we should definitely, we've talked about it before, but I think we should let folks know that we would like to hold a webinar, for folks that do use the Live365 automation system. And we can talk about some of those tips and tricks and kind of do a deep dive on some of those features. And that's something that Cam, Jason, and myself would, facilitate and definitely hold a session like that. I think that'd be a good one for sure.
Yes, absolutely. For sure. That would be 100% a great future webinar topic. And definitely we can absolutely get that on the board for something going forward.
In the recent chat here, we have a few more questions about music licensing and podcasting. I don't know if John or Jason would like to speak to that at all.
Yeah. So music licensing for podcasts. I think that's something that people are focusing on now. And there are a couple solutions out there. I think the way a solution will work is going to be something like an integration with an app, with Apple, Spotify, all the on-demand guys, integrating just with their API, and then it would require somebody to have a subscription to that service, right? So, I think that's how it would work. It would be something where I would, through their APIs, put the song into my podcast, and the listener, the end user, would need to be a subscriber to one of those services. I don't think you're going to see a lot of people breaking into the on-demand service, on-demand music side of the business. I don't see us doing those deals, at least not the way that they're shaped right now and at their expense. But Anchor. Someone mentions Anchor.fm lets you do that with Spotify only. For your podcast, you are limited just to the Spotify platform, but that's the direction it's going. So when those guys are opening up their APIs so that you can use them that way, and then you can start building them into the subscription, into these podcasts, I think that's where it'll happen. So I'm pretty hopeful that people like us will be able to do those types of things. As far as us directly licensing with those organizations, with the labels, I don't think that's going to happen though.
Got it. Thank you. Justin, how should we proceed?
Cool. I see a couple others here, actually. One, Matt, if you don't mind talking about this one. So this one was about faith-based packages. It was really wrapped around faith-based packages for iHeart, and whether we had any plans for making any faith-based packages that would connect up to iHeart that would be no ads. I don't know if you wanted to talk a second about that, and then about faith-based packages in general.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I actually saw that question. So the iHeart option would be the broadcast 4 without ads for $667 a month or $664 a month, and that would get you on. There's no other package at this time. John mentioned, making things available to other stations as they come along. Maybe that's something that we can do. But right now, with such a finite amount of stations that we're able to put on and the demand that we've already had, where we're at right now is at that broadcast 4 price point. And your chances are the hours that you're going to get will fill up there. I will say that I've talked to specifically with All Access about the the faith-based packages, and I would definitely suggest reaching out to allaccess.com as and subscribe. They are really putting a lot of effort into the resources that they're making available to faith-based broadcasters, and they're working with contemporary Christian music, CCM, and worship formats to make more content available as we speak. So it's sort of this growing type of presence, which is long overdue. I mean, if you look next to country, Christian radio is the second largest amount of radio stations in the United States. I'd also just wanted to kind of point out, while our deal with All Access is not completely finalized yet, we're always working to try and make things available. Oftentimes when we're working with third-party vendors or partners, they have a say in what we make available, what they're making available at no cost, right? So it's not for a lack of effort of trying to get as much as we can for everybody. That would be the goal for somebody that was on a BC1, but we have to play by the rules of the partners that we're working with, and nurture those relationships first and foremost, before we can start proving our case to make things available for the other packages. So I just wanted to point that out really quick.
Awesome. Thank you. I do see, actually, I like this one. This is a bit of a tough one. Cam, actually, I'm curious inside of you as someone I'm trying to program a mix of clock wheels and playlist programming. I find it's hard for programs to start on time when using clock wheels. Do you have any advice you can give them for kind of this scheduling difficulty and how to kind of keep everything on that clock?
I mean, when using a mixture, it's a little bit difficult. Maybe Philip has some suggestions here. The only thing I can really think of is for some of the events, you might have to use the strict start for scheduling, which is going to make everything start on time. But the trade-off is it's going to probably cut off the track that's currently playing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's, it really is a case-by-case situation. We have a wide array of broadcasters with us, a lot of talk programming. We have a lot of sermons and spoken word, as well as some like blocks of material. So depending on how the station's library is set up, sometimes those blocks of material will go over a little bit, which can cause like a trickle forward effect or a trickle down effect where other events start a little bit later and it kind of adds up over time. So again, I'd love to do a deep dive on that kind of stuff. And I think that speaks volumes as to holding another session down the road here. But yeah, to the broadcaster that asked, let us know in a ticket and we'll see how we can help you out for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely the tough challenge for sure. And I think we will definitely have future webinars for sure on that. Speaking of one that could probably be future webinars, I think this, a selling local ads could be a webinar in itself. And I think that's something we definitely will do in the future and help everyone with that. This question for local ads for brick and mortar businesses, how do they get value for a worldwide stream? I think at least someone who's been in business for a while and seen local businesses, one of the big things that is definitely a very attractive something is if you do have some general traffic in a local area, right? So if my station is targeted towards, I'm in Pittsburgh right now, if most of my listener traffic is in Pittsburgh, that's definitely a very appealing thing for those folks. And so for those brick and mortar ones, I would definitely, my selling pitch to those folks, I would really target on where's my targeted audience. So even if you still are a worldwide stream, obviously all of us are running worldwide unless you're doing massive restriction on your stream, which I wouldn't suggest. So there's always going to be traffic coming in from various different areas, but at least with the pitch with these local brick and mortar places is to kind of find where your traffic is fairly consolidated and focus on kind of those areas. So that's a quick one I wanted to jump through there. And I think absolutely we could do a whole session on local ads, selling local ads, being best practices, how to kind of set everyone up for success for those. And that's definitely something that's on our radar that we'd like to do for everyone. I don't see any other major ones. We have, this one's an interesting one. Any plans to add sound processing or normalization to this? I know it's a little bit John or Jason. I don't know if you want to talk to that. I know this is one that's been on our map.
Yeah. It's another, that it's all of these are great suggestions and feature requests, and every single one of them we've thought about and definitely have on kind of the backlog. And so again, there's the feature request portal, which is where things kind of move up and down on that. The higher they are, the quicker they get done. And we would love to put that in place, and it's something that we're aware that we need.
Definitely. And again, vote up on the feature request board. Definitely can only help. Cool. Awesome. Well, I do have a couple minutes to spare, so I will open the floor up. If anyone has any questions, are welcome to take them. I will even crack the beer for happy hour here. So I will open it up. If anyone has any questions, the floor is open. You're welcome to fire away.
Meaning people can unmute and talk? Is that what you
Yes.
mean? Oh,
Hello, I'm Michael
Yes.
from Blind Cafe Radio.
Nice. Nice.
Hey,
to meet you.
Michael.
And we're actually still pretty new to Blind Cafe, or to Live365, excuse me. But I do have a question. We are using a third party. We are, with our own encoders and everything as well. And you did recommend that we should back up our music to the auto DJ, and that's fine. But I actually have a question about the scheduling. Now, for example, we have names of our programs and shows and all that. But when I tried to put that in Live365 at that time, we weren't using the auto DJ for a backup. But I just wanted to put our schedule in Live365. Is that possible to put our radio schedule in Live365, even if we're not using it as a backup at this moment, as in throwing the music in there?
Right now, no, but that is a great feature request. Right now, the schedule really only relates to the music you have uploaded to the auto DJ system.
Okay. And then the only other question I had was that I know you guys have tutorials, but where can I go and find those again for the auto DJ?
Help.live365.com.
Okay. You said help.live?
Yeah, help.live365.com.
Live.com. Okay.
Yeah. And we can send a few over in a new ticket too, if you'd like.
Okay, that would be great. I actually put a support in just a little bit ago. I don't know if you'll see it or not.
We will. So yeah, I can send some of those articles your way for sure, Michael.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I was wondering, actually, specifically with Matt, and probably it can't be done, but I would love to take advantage of that iHeart distribution. That would be huge. The only thing is, I've poured a number of investments in a number of other things, and for my radio station at this point, and I'm wondering if there's a way to do an a la carte, just the iHeart, because I've got everything else. I don't know if there's a great idea at all.
Yeah, I think that is a great suggestion, and I appreciate that. A la carte is something we've talked about a lot with a lot of things. I don't want to speak for my CEO, but he may have alluded a little bit to some making some of these offerings a la carte, whether that's an app, a player, further distribution. Those are things that we would absolutely love to make a la carte. There are obviously technical developments that would need to go on that. I do want to kind of play the devil's advocate of that as well. While I understand that would be really nice, we really do try to bring as much value to everything. We would love to make this available for someone that's paying $59, right? We really would. So as I mentioned, a lot of what we're offering right now, where there is limitations or hards, it is essentially dictated by the partners that we're working with. It's a kind of a long-winded answer, but we are looking at a la carte options, as well as how can we include the most for everybody to take advantage of, if that helps.
hopefully they'll open this up, down the road as far as another 100 stations, whatever the case may be. So.
Yeah, we here's the deal. We kind of have to prove our case with iHeart. There's a lot of legal stuff, and I'm not the legal person, and I don't think we need to get into the minutia of that, but there is so much to get the stations onto iHeart. So, if anybody here has tried to get on iHeart, and if you haven't, you kind of got to take my word for it at this point. But it's impossible, and it's a financial lift that any individual station at this point could not afford, because what it takes to do it as an individual. You absolutely can. If you want to reach out to iHeart and do what they're asking for, that is a possibility. But in my 20 years of radio and internet radio, this is a first, that an internet radio distribution company such as ourselves can put stations on. And again, the key thing here is we're covering the licensing. That's what's making all of this possible. And that's why, kind of going back to even what Cam was saying, why metadata is important, why the flow of information is important, because we're paying the licensing on your behalf. Sound Exchange isn't knocking at your door, they're knocking on ours.
Yeah, I think with iHeart, we can straight up say it that, they have insurance requirements basically to protect iHeart from liability that organizations need to have, and they're pretty high. So they're really high for an individual, and for us, it was kind of like, how high do we want to get it, and how many stations can we fold in underneath that amount, and that was a negotiation with them. So it is something that if these 100 work really well, we'll definitely up it if the 100 work well and it makes sense for us. It's something we want to put more and more stations in there too. So hopefully this is just a first phase.
Yeah.
Understood. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate that explanation.
The other thing is too is what Matt was talking about with the licensing. More distribution does mean it means more listening, but that also means more TLH. You could easily find yourself, if you're on a lower package and getting on iHeart, you could easily find yourself blowing right through your TLH limit, and then you're stuck with overages and what have you. So it can get messy in a quick hurry.
Yeah. I do want to add one couple of things to the iHeart stuff there, and the a la carte. So first, definitely a la carte is something on our radar to be able to kind of add and make more available to all packages, and so that everyone can kind of pick and choose and customize as much as you'd possibly like to do to be able to make your station as good as possible, for sure there. As Jason kind of mentioned there, if it was up to us as iHeart, we would love to put everyone onto there for sure. And that's the constant goal. Our goal is to continue to try and provide as much value to all of our broadcasters. I think a good question somebody had thrown into there is, what is the value to us to be able to partnership with iHeart here? The value to us is to be able to allow our broadcasters to be on there, to empower our broadcasters to have better stations. Our focus as a whole at Live365 and Media Creek is how can we empower broadcasters to do their jobs better, to run better stations, to have better quality everything. And so we're really centrally focused on that mission. And so that's where iHeart kind of fits into the benefit to us, is that we're able to help our broadcasters. We're able to get their stations in front of more listeners, no matter what cost is. So that's kind of one of the big takeaways there for sure. And the big thing that is on our mind always is how can we help our broadcasters as much as possible. That said, I have a couple minutes left. I probably have room for one last question here. So
I had a quick one. Request from the UK.
Go ahead. I'll take the UK.
I'm a big fan of your work. Been running a station on your platform for a little while now, and it's great to have a one-stop shop for the licensing, as you point out. And it's great to hear you deal with iHeart, but is there anything for a UK broadcaster coming down the road similar to that? And particularly, there is now quite a link up between commercial radio in the UK and iHeart.
Yeah. So
Where-
I'll
Go ahead,
you want me
Jason.
to take that one. So yeah, definitely. I think distribution in the UK is something that we need to work on. With iHeart actually does distribute in the UK. With iHeart though, to talk about the iHeart side, you need to do the deals with each individual organization. We couldn't just roll in Canada and the UK into the deal we did. It was with the US organization. So I would say that, yeah, we will be talking with them. There's another organization that was mentioned maybe earlier on in this in this summit that had some issues in the UK that we're also talking with distribution there. So there are that is something that's a priority for us. And those can sometimes take a while, but it is a priority, and we are actually moving forward with it. So hopefully there'll be something like that soon. And definitely if you have specific ones that you think are places where we should be that aren't necessarily the brand name, aren't the iHearts and those guys, let us know. You can even shoot it off to as a support ticket, or it'll come get to me that way. But happy to take suggestions on that too.
Okay, well, I'll look forward to that, and I'll keep an eye out.
Thanks, Simon.
Thanks.
I had 1 minute left. I know I had one other person speak up. I think, was it JB?
Yep.
Yeah, that was me. Just a quick question in regards to the statistics. A lot of people were putting it in the chat, and my entire crew have been asking me frequently about when we will be able to see the IPv4 addresses again, so we can actually distinguish what's a legitimate listener and what's a bot, so we know what to block, what not, so it doesn't burn up TLH.
That I can speak a little bit to it, or Jason?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that we're going to show IPs again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's mostly privacy stuff. So I think that can be fixed some other ways. And I think that's kind of understanding the user agents that are connecting, right? So understanding which ones are bots that are user agents, identifying those, allowing those to be banned. I think that there's a kick feature that we definitely need to be able to kick specific ones, not banning necessarily. So I think between those, where it's like, okay, and we are working on some of that already. We're putting some filters in place for some of the just really well-known bots, just period. So like the ones that we're definitely aware of, we're putting filters in place, so those are not going to be counted. Facebook's probably the biggest, one of the big offenders on that side of things. So there's some nuances to it, but the ones that are very obvious, we are not gonna count towards the TLH. If you're seeing ones that seem to be obvious, and I think you can go in and see some of the user agent connections and those things, and so sometimes those stats can be helpful on discerning that. But I think between kind of us building out the features, also having some of the maybe a kick feature that's something that I think I really want to have too. We can deal with it that way.
I agree with you. And just to tag on to the end of that real briefly, we definitely want to provide more analytics and more stats to our customers for sure. So the ability to kind of drill down or filter, export. I mean, these are some of the top 5 or 10 features that we have on that feature request portal. And it's ones that Justin, John, Jason, and myself have all talked about. So we definitely see that in the future for sure.
Definitely. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. I will actually answer one last question here. The beer I have is Icy Light. This is a Pittsburgh staple. If you're ever in Pittsburgh, you got to try one, definitely. If there are any questions that we weren't able to answer, encourage everyone to message us at help@live365.com. We're always happy to answer any questions. Beyond that, from the bottom of my heart, thank you all for joining us today. We really appreciate it. The community means so much to us. We couldn't do it without you guys, and we look forward to continuing to work to try to make our platform better and make Live365 a great home for all of your stations. So on that note, I will let everyone go. I'll call it adjourn our first ever Live365 Summit. I have no doubt we'll be doing more future ones of this. So thank you to everyone. I hope everyone has a fantastic night and a great weekend.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, everyone. See you.